Welcome to Caveman Learning, where I'm covering a two-part series about creating your own website for free with no programming using Google Sites. Look for a link in the description for part one. All right, so let's get started. In our previous video, we built this website. All right, so what I'm going to be covering are tools and options that are set up here in this top section. There's a few things to actually consider on how to use them, what they can be used for. All right, so let's go over the preview button first. So the preview button allows you to look at the site on how it would look on a phone versus a tablet versus a desktop, right? Uh, Usually when you bring this up, it's going to come up in a desktop. Uh, but you can look at it from the tablet or a phone. Google Sites does a really good job of redrawing the page so it stacks objects and pictures and things like that very nicely on a mobile phone. Websites historically really struggled with this. So I'm very excited to see that this kind of functionality on a phone is available from a free website. All right, so I'm going to exit the preview and we're going to go over to link. Now, if this page was not previously published, then I would not get a hyperlink here. Matter of fact, let's demo that. If I click this little arrow next to the publish button, I can click unpublish. The site will no longer be live. I can make edits, publish your site again. I got it, right? So now if I come over here to the link, it's grayed out. I can't do nothing with it. So I'm going to click publish. I'm going to keep the same name as part of the web address. Click publish. And so now we go out a hyperlink again, right? I'm going to click link, copy link as part of the demo. Paste in the new browser tab, and here we go. That page is now is now public again. So this is where you could turn around and specifically call out additional people as being editors, things of that nature. You could also get your hyperlink from here in order to share. You can specify actual emails in here and then send them the hyperlink that way in an email. All right, so now we're going to cover settings and the gear. There's quite a few things to talk about in here. First being this navigation. By default, it shows the navigation in the top of the screen. We can change that to the side. So now you see it shows up over here. But you'll see when we go into the preview mode or the public website after changes are made, we'll see this actually turns black. We're also going to change the color to being black. And again, it shows up over here, but this is only in an editor. So I'm going to click X, click publish, because I'm going to publish my changes. Publish. Now I'm going to come over here to the site. Sometimes the changes take a few seconds for it to happen. There we go. So this is the navigation that'll show up on the left side. All right, so now we're going to go into brand images. So two things to think about in here, logo and the favicon. So the logo is what shows up over here besides the title of the website, right? It's a pretty small image. So yeah, you're not going to upload anything real crazy there. Favicon. Favicon is what shows up next to the title in the browser tab. This is the favicon that shows up for every Google site by default. So if you don't upload a different favicon, that's the favicon that's going to show up. All right, keep in mind that whatever you do upload, it's going to reduce it down to 512 pixels squared. So it's really, really small. You're not going to want to use anything more than 2 or 3 colors, and definitely nothing with a lot of definition to whatever the graphic is, right? Something very, very simple and as far as the design goes. This dragon might work very well there. All right. Next thing, viewer tools, info icon, and anchor links. All right. Both of these are turned on by default. Let me show you what they are. So on the website, anytime you have a heading, this little link shows up, allowing you to copy this, right? So this is what happens when you give that hyperlink to somebody, right? It puts that link in here and it'll automatically scroll down to wherever that heading is. It's quite handy in certain situations. Uh, then the next one is the info. Um, what did they call that again? Info icon. The info icon is down here, and it shows up as this little eye here in this little circle. When you click on it, it'll tell you when the page was last updated and the fact that it was created on Google Sites. If I turn that off, it'll remove the part where it says when the page was last updated. It'll still say Google Sites, and it'll still have a link there to report abuse. But it will have removed that part. All right, custom domains. That's the next section. So custom domains is yahoo.com, facebook.com, what have you. Those are all custom domains. Companies pay money to have those. Okay, so if you're looking to, uh, if you don't mind paying that extra money, you're going to have to do it at a separate website than Google. Google does not sell custom domains any longer. They used to, but not any longer. And just those domains are what they call, the sellers that sell the domains are called a registrar. They could be anywhere from $15 a domain all the way up to like $50, $60, $70 a domain. All depends on what kind of domain it is. So the extension at the end, .com or .org, .whatever, is what type of domain it is. And some of them go for big, big money. All right. Uh, so we're not going to go through that because this is all about creating a free website that doesn't cost any money. That really leads us down the same path, though, when it comes to Google Analytics. If you're not worried about not having a custom domain, then you're probably not worried about having to go to Google Analytics, right? So Google Analytics will then monitor who is visiting your site and not who specifically, just like what country are they from? What part of the United States are they from? What browser are they using? What what site sent them to your website, right? Were they coming from Facebook.com? Were they coming from Instagram? Were they coming from a Google search? That's all very valuable information if you're really wanting to get into the weeds of where your visitors are coming from. Announcement banner. This announcement banner will show up at the very top, right? It's off by default. It's not a feature that very many people use nowadays, okay, but it's there. So we'll click on show banner. I'll change the color, like say, and I'll give it a message. Hello world. Now, if you notice though, the editor, it's not picking up these changes uh, until we actually click off of this settings page. All right, so now I'm going to demo the button and how the button works because the message is just that, it's just a message. So I'm going to put click here because I'm going to demo on how the button works. I'm going to put a link in there. By default, you can set this button to look at one of the pages that is on your page. Okay. Or you can send them to an external page, which I'll discuss here in a second. So I'm going to send them to yahoo.com, right? So I'm going to click up here, copy that in my clipboard, come back, paste. Now, anytime you send somebody else to another website that is not yours, then you should click this button to say open a new tab. That's always an option that you should do anytime you're putting hyperlinks onto your own website, sending them somewhere else. Because the hope there is that after they're done with Yahoo, that they're going to come back to your website. Well, if you don't click this, it will literally replace your website with the one you sent them to. So that's not really a good idea. Visibility. Again, we're talking about the announcement banner here. So this visibility, do we want it to show up on all the pages or just the home page? All right, so I filled everything out. I'm going to click the X and there's our banner. All right, I'm going to click publish. I'm going to click publish. And then I'm going to come back to the public website and I'm going to refresh. Just like I demoed before, sometimes it takes a few seconds for it to happen, but here's our banner. Here's our hello world, and here's our button. When I click here, it opens up yahoo.com in a different tab. And that's what you want if you're going to send them to a website that is not yours. All right. Okay, so let's close. All right, let's come back over here. All right, the only thing I've got to cover now is version history. So version history is coming off of these little three dots where you've got these other options. But frankly, version history is the only one that I think would as of any use. Uh, Maybe if you're making a bunch of changes, you might make a copy and kind of see what the site is looking like as you make a bunch of changes. Or so we'll go into version history. Version history is actually pretty darn cool because you can actually go back and look at different changes that you've made. Uh, from previous, and you can rename them. So here's a version that I had saved on January 23rd. I renamed it blue because it had a blue background on the banner, on the upper header, right? And then I decided I didn't like that, so I actually restored it from a previous version. Uh, so here's a previous version, although not from the 23rd, but it's a previous version. So it actually uh, it actually tells me that in the version history that I restored it. So and then we can actually see more changes that I've made during this video. All right. So now I'm going to click this arrow to get back to the normal editor. All right. So that's all I got. That pretty much covers everything here. In my next video, I think I'll be going in more detail on how to use all these options here in the toolbar. So I hope you watch out for that video. I'm going to try to do videos once a week. All right. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. All right. Bye.